All right, welcome everybody to the Ground Control Live 2024 Draft Recap Show, and we are I'm Jamie Thomas, Mitchell Clinton with you, and we're going to get right to it. Alfons Freij, the Winnipeg Jets second-round selection, their first pick in this 2024 National Hockey League Draft, and Alfons is got a very busy guy, so we're going to get right to it. Alfons, how are you feeling that you've had a little time to digest that you're a Winnipeg Jet?
Yeah, so I'm feeling very good. It was kind of blackout when hear my name called. So yeah, I mean it's a dream come true for sure. Meet all the good people here, and nice to share this experience with my family as well. So yeah, it's been pretty good for so far.
And Alphonse, obviously a left-hand shot, but it really seems like you're comfortable playing on left side, playing on the right side, and then also skating is a big part of your game. But just curious how you became so adept and so good at playing on both sides, and especially your offside.
Yeah, I would say I don't care what I play. Like it doesn't matter. So I've been on the ice like extra training and stuff with my coaches to play on both sides. We have so many like lefties, so I was the one that showed interest in being a right D. So that's why I play like both. So yeah.
How long of a process has this been for you, Alfons, your draft year and leading up to this day?
I mean, I have like dreamed for this since I was a little kid for sure. So I mean, it has been a fun ride so far. This only the beginning, I would say. So it's so fun to be here, and I meet all the peoples here. I like it so far, so it's good.
And one for me, obviously, I did a little bit of reading, and it seems like you've attended some camps with another Jets prospect and Elias Salamonson. I'm just curious what the relationship is like between the two of you, and obviously with both of you being defensemen, it's exciting for the franchise as well.
Exactly. So me and Elias has the same agent. So we've been when he was getting drafted, we have like a camp before. So I was meeting him there. Like we have just talked sometimes, but nothing more. So he's a good guy. I know that. So yeah.
Last one before we let you go. Are you coming to development camp next week? And on top of that, you've been here before. We saw a photo of you as a young man. Why were you in Winnipeg in years past?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm coming to the development camp. See you there. And the photo, we were on like tournament when I was 9, so that was pretty cool, I would say. It was we lost all our games, so that was pretty it was not good at all, but it was a fun experience. And I know Winnipeg is a pretty good city, cold at the winter, nice summers, so it's pretty similar to Sweden. So I think I'm going to like it, so that's good.
Alphons, we hope that you have much better memories when you come to Winnipeg. We can pretty much guarantee that than losing all your games. Congratulations on being drafted by the Jets, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
See you soon.
See ya.
All right, that is Alfons Freij and Mitchell Clinton, Jamie Thomas with you here right now as we move along in the show. And bear with me as I figure out how to remove this. There we go. Got it. All right. Just the two of us now, Mitch. It's just you and me as we go over the 2024 National Hockey League Draft. Of course, Mitchell Clinton is the radio voice of the Winnipeg Jets on CJOB and Power 97. No first round pick. And you and I both attended the 2018 draft in Dallas. It's a little dry on that first day when there's not much going on as you're covering the team at the draft.
Yeah, but then at the same time, you're also still oddly on the edge of your seat because something could happen, right? You know what I mean? And like, especially with the way things were at the Sphere with the big horn when the trade was coming up, I thought that was an incredible touch to really add to it. So every time that came up, I'm wondering, I'm like, maybe there's an opportunity, maybe something's going on. Obviously, a number of storylines surrounding the Winnipeg Jets and some players that may not be available. Of what conversations Kevin Cheveldayoff is having going into the draft. And so anytime that little thing came up, I was curious about it. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned that draft in 2018, you just kind of end up sitting there and you just kind of wish you could know what kind of conversations were going on at the Winnipeg Jets table throughout that evening. But no pick in the first round that year, no pick in the first round this year. But I think the Winnipeg Jets can be pretty excited about, obviously, the player that we just talked to in Alfons, but also a lot of the other players they were able to pick up.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later. Of course, when the Jets did not have a first-round pick, they ended up drafting a Swede in the second round that turned out to be David Gustafsson, of course, part of the Jets organization right now. So let's just go through the 4 picks. We'll start with Alfons Freij. We got to know him a little bit there in that conversation we just had. What else have you heard about the young Swedish defenseman, Mitch?
Puck mover and skating, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like it's interesting because we'll get to see a little bit of his game at development camp. So that's something that I'm really interested in. That's always like one of the best weeks, really, because as much as the players are in the middle of their workout programs and they're not quite at that game level yet, so there is some rust, you start to get an idea of what these players are about. And I remember Nikolai Ehlers coming to his first camp, because my first draft with the team was in 2014 in Philadelphia, and that's when he was taken in the first round. I remember him coming to development camp and for the first time and seeing him skate and just being like, oh, this is what they meant by this guy can skate. So Alfons Freij is very similar in terms of, skating is something that comes out, moves the puck really well. And as a defenseman, obviously that's something that's massive in the National Hockey League this year, bronze at the under 18s with Sweden. So he's going to be someone that's likely going to go up a league a little bit in Sweden. He played on the junior side this year. He'll probably go to the Allsvenskans coming up in 24-25. So something to keep an eye on there. But I mean, just a guy that I think the Winnipeg Jets could be really excited about, just especially given how the game is played. You need your defense to be able to move the puck and be able to skate it, join the rush, which is something that we've seen Josh Morrissey do a bunch of times. Any other, adding to that pool of players that you have in your organization that can play like that only bodes well.
All right, Jets did not have a third-round pick this year, so they moved to the 4th round, but they do move up to pick 109 in a trade with the Buffalo Sabres, and they select Kevin He, a left winger from Niagara, 5'11", 180 pounds. But what is exactly the Jets were so excited about to move up in the draft to get this young player?
Just a work ethic, right? Like these are the things that you can't – I mean, obviously – everybody's got to have a work ethic to be able to get to this level and then push into the National Hockey League, the American Hockey League, and just keep, being a pro and building their game out. But the relentless work ethic is something that you hear from, his head coach in Niagara. Bruce Boudreau's son, Kevin, was his coach there. A tough year in Niagara, that not a lot of things went well. They're rebuilding. But what always stood out, and, he was basically described, was he was the light. He was someone that was one of the really positive stories of Niagara's season. And, he's got some speed. His favorite player, when he was, learning the game and kind of developing his love for it was Pavel Bure. So obviously, he's going to model his game after that. And more recently, likes a lot of what Dylan Larkin brings to the table. So I'm really curious to see him playing outside of that, outside of the game. Like you consider someone born in China, comes over to North America, to Montreal, when he's 6 years old, and then has to learn French. And then shortly after that, he went to Connecticut for a bit, stayed with some relatives for a number of months, and then he learned English. Like, it's fluent in 3 languages. Like, that's incredible. I mean, it just kind of shows how brilliant, he is away from the rink, let alone, what he's able to accomplish on the ice.
Yeah, also he was coached by Ben Boudreau in Niagara. That's the son of the legendary Bruce Boudreau, so some good bloodline there in that coaching. And looking forward to seeing Kevin He at development camp. Moving along to the 5th round, it's been a while since we've seen a Finn get drafted by the organization. Markus Lopinen, 6'1", 185, left shot forward. Thoughts on this young Finn?
Yeah, another one that's probably going to make the jump from the Finnish, junior league, kind of up to that next level in Liga with Karpat. So. Quite a season for him. In 23-24, you think about going into your draft year, how you want to be, how you want to have your best year yet. And, you look at him, he goes out there and scores 25 goals and has 54 points, named the Junior League's Rookie of the Year. So someone that, obviously, has the capability to put up some numbers. It seems like from everything that I've read, whether that's scouting reports or otherwise, his release is something that has caught the eye of the scouts. You have obviously the catch and release, where you're able to take a pass and let it go, but he's also got that inside drag to that inside leg to be able to let it go as well. So that's obviously something that a lot of players have really developed over the last few years. I mean, a lot of players in the National Hockey League have that ability. I think of, Mark Scheifele's release, where he's able to just pull it into his body and then change the angle just a little bit, whether that's to get it under a defenseman's stick or change the angle for the goaltender at the very last second, whatever it may be. it's something to watch for with this player as well. It's caught the eye of some scouts, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Of course, Jamie Thomas with you, along with Mitchell Clinton and Ground Control Live 2024 draft reaction. Just 4 picks for the Winnipeg Jets. They came into the day with 5. They had traded one of their 4th and 7th round picks in that trade to move up for Kevin He. So certainly last and not least, because this kid's going to be hard to miss whenever he gets to Winnipeg, it is Kieran Walton, a center from Sudbury. Hold on a second. 6'6", 211 pounds. And I texted Mitch, and forgive my memory, I'm like, is this the biggest kid they've ever drafted? And you immediately respond with Logan Stanley. So I was embarrassed. Of course, Logan Stanley is 6'7", but a big kid nonetheless. And interesting to see how big this kid's going to be up close and personal when he does get here to Winnipeg.
Yeah. And a guy that, really is trying to model his game after Tage Thompson. And I mean, now all of a sudden you get these big forwards, and it's hard not to get, the Tage Thompson vibes. Like maybe he works out like Tage Thompson does, but obviously there's some progression that has to happen. You have to develop your game, all your aspects of it, to be able to have the type of impact that Tage Thompson has. So I'm not saying pump the brakes, but I'm just saying
yeah,
it would be exciting. The Winnipeg Jets would absolutely love it, and even watching some of the highlights that from his season in Sudbury. I mean, there's some hands there. There's some skill there, absolutely. So 18 goals this year in his second Ontario Hockey League season. So we'll see. But now I'm starting to look at the Winnipeg Jets forward prospect core, and you got Walton at 6'6", Zach Naring and Jacob Julian sitting at 6'3", Connor Levis is 6'2", Colby Barlow just a measly 6'1".
Yeah.
So there's some size in that Jets forward core now, and you think back to the years where they had, maybe some of the smaller guys. I mean, Brad Lambert's not a small guy either, but he can move. It's a little bit of a different skill set as well. So it's a really nice mix, I think, that the Winnipeg Jets have in their forward prospect core these days.
Yeah, so much to look forward to when development camp gets underway next week. So next order of business, of course, is free agency. That comes on Monday and Canada Day. Kevin Cheveldayoff met with the media after the draft concluded in Vegas, and no update so far on the situation with Rector McGroarty. And it looks like the indication is there's some interest of keeping Nikolai Ehlers in the stable. And of course, it's going to take a lot to get Nikolai Ehlers out of here, considering what he brings to your lineup night after night.
Well, he's 20 goals. Like you can pretty much write him down for 20 goals, and that's it's not something that you can just throw away for nothing. And Kevin Cheveldayoff has shown over his years as a member, as the general manager of the Winnipeg Jets, of having the ability to, make the trade at the right time, not feel rushed. If you have time, use it. And I think he feels he has time with Nikolai Ehlers. But here's the thing, I think back to last year, and Cheveldayoff kind of referenced this prior to the draft this year. From the draft floor, where he was asked about Nikolai Ehlers, what the update was. And he said kind of along the same lines as what he mentioned about Mark Scheifele and Connor Hellebuck 1 year earlier, right? And that's not to say that, all of a sudden, we're going to get to training camp and boom, there's going to be this extension sitting there for Nikolai Ehlers. Who knows how this whole thing goes? But he just said, this is a very key member of our team, and we want to put the best team forward because, as they said all last year, they're a team that wants to win right now. They want to make the use of the window that they have with Mark Scheifele and now 2-time Vezina Trophy winner Connor Hellebuck in goal, and a lot of the other weapons that Winnipeg has. So Nikolai Ehlers obviously plays a big role in the Winnipeg Jets. He's got that speed. He's got that shot. He can really turn a game by himself with one of those coast-to-coast rushes that he's been known for throughout his time in Winnipeg. So they're not just going to make a deal for the sake of making a deal. They're going to make sure it's the right thing for the organization, whether that's making the move or it's keeping Nikolai Ehlers, and maybe Kevin Cheveldayoff's got something brewing that he's not telling anybody, or maybe he doesn't. Right. But at this point, he's making sure that he's keeping his cards close to the vest.
Yeah, he's not certainly feeling any type of pressure whatsoever in any situation to make a deal. But with free agency coming up on the big day, of course, getting Dylan DeMello signed to a 4-year contract extension. My last thought from you before we depart this broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan DeMello, one of those players that, and the social team put out a really, really good video actually shortly after his extension of him chirping during the jacket presentation.
Yeah.
That's like literally him, you walk in for media availability. He's always got something to say. He's very quick-witted. His family is really fit into the Winnipeg community really well. They're expecting their second kid later this summer. So congrats to them, obviously. And, he's just someone that has fit right alongside Josh Morrissey on that top D pair. And, plus minus that stat is kind of, I think the value on it kind of depends. But the number that you put up, like Dylan DeMello at plus 46, that's, it's second best in the NHL. And it's also something that you kind of have to think like, okay, this guy's clearly on the ice for a lot more positive for the Winnipeg Jets than, a negative here and there, right? So he's somebody that obviously Josh Morris, he's very comfortable with, and Dylan DeMello is comfortable with his role on this team, and he still wants to push the envelope to be a little bit better. That's a constant theme that we've heard from the players ever since the season ended, a lot shorter and earlier than they would have liked, especially. So good for Dylan DeMello, obviously somebody that's worked his way into a contract like that and deserves every bit.
Yeah, Ken K commenting, we need a backup goaltender. Clearly that is sounds like Laurent Brossoit is kind of, has earned his way to another opportunity somewhere else. It doesn't sound like he'll be back with the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how the limitations of the salary cap are. And also, I mean, it's exactly what Laurent Brossoit needed to do to take the next step in his career, right? Like he had to come back from the injury that knocked him out of the postseason shortly after Vegas eliminated Winnipeg a couple of years ago. And he came back and looked stronger and better than ever. I remember him in that media availability in the summer leading into the season saying he feels he's a way better goaltender now than he was when he, initially left Winnipeg. And part of that is just because of health. And he was able, I think his quote was, "I'm able to use both of my hips now." And like, imagine that for a goaltender. He was able to, he was able to have just a tremendous season with Winnipeg. And obviously he's got a great relationship with Wade Flaherty and Connor Hellebuyck and everybody in the room. But like Kevin Cheveldayoff said, all of his great work probably earned him a contract that the Winnipeg Jets aren't going to be able to fit.
Mitch, appreciate your time. I know you're at a family gathering, so I appreciate you taking the time to do this. And to our viewers and listeners, obviously, thanks so much for tuning in. Next up, the free agency kicks off, the full 2024-25 season. We'll talk to you guys then. See you later.